This video features the guitar and bass parts that are present during the intro of the song. This song features the use of scale tone chords. Although the song starts out in E minor, it's actually in the key of G major. The 5 chords that are used during this song are all based on chords constructed from notes in the G major scale. The tuning used in this video and on the record is E flat and 440 wavelength calibration. If you're unsure how to tune E flat, please watch the video on this channel, E flat tuning and enharmonic notes for guitar and bass by Marc Wilson, and then return. The main riff pattern is going to be 2 full measures long. We're going to use a 1 finger, 1 fret approach to play this. Any notes on the 2nd fret will be covered by the 1st finger. Any notes on the 3rd fret will be covered by the middle finger. Any notes on the 4th fret will be covered by the ring finger. Any notes on the 5th fret are going to be covered by the pinky. The key to the song is G major, but we're going to start out the riff pattern using the low open E string. This works because E is the 6th note of the G major scale. We're going to pick the open E string down on 1 and allow that to ring as a quarter note. That'll be followed by the G note located on the 3rd fret of the E string, pick downwards on 2, and it will be allowed to ring out as an 8th note. Immediately after that, we're going to pick the B note located on the 2nd fret of the A string upwards on the upper and beat directly after 2. This is the first half or the first measure of the riff. That's counted 1, 2, and. Notice the picking motion, down, down, up. From there, we're going to go back to the G note. We're going to pick this down on 3 and allow it to ring out as a quarter note. We'll go from there to the D note located on the A string to 5th fret. This will be picked downwards on 4 and allowed to ring out as an 8th note. We're going to finish up the first measure of the riff pattern by going back to the G note and picking that up on the upper and beat directly after 4. This is what we have so far. That's counted 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. With a 4 count lead in, let's do that one time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. From there, we're going to start the 2nd measure of the riff pattern. We're going to pick the open E string down on 1 and let it ring out as a quarter note. That'll be followed by the G note, picked down on 2 and allowed to ring out as an 8th note. Immediately after that, we're going to play the D note, picked upwards on the upper and beat right after 2. So far, this is the first measure and a half of the riff. What we're going to do is we'll play the whole thing up to that point with a 4 count lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and. Okay. From there, we're going to go back to the G note. This will be picked down on 3 and allowed to ring out as an 8th note. That'll be followed by an upwards pick on the B note on the upper and beat directly after 3. That'll be followed by a downward pick on the F sharp note located on the D string at the 4th fret. This will be picked down on 4 and allowed to ring out as an 8th note. We'll finish up the 2nd measure of the riff by going back to the B note and picking that up on the very last beat of the measure, the and or up beat directly after 4. The last 4 notes of that measure are counted 3 and 4 and, just like this. 3 and 4 and. Notice the picking motion, down, up, down, up. This is the whole riff pattern. Let's do it a couple times with the 4 count lead in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Let's run through that riff pattern a few more times just to make sure that we're on the same page. I'm going to play it with my fingers instead of a pick this time. If you're using a pick, you can still follow along and do it, no problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2. This bass part will also be played during the verses and the bridges of the song. Notice that the notes of the riff pattern are all from the basic G major scale, although it starts out on the low open E string. This part can either be played on a clean electric guitar or on an acoustic guitar. The riff pattern that we're going to cover here is going to be 2 full measures long. For those that don't know what a riff is a pattern that repeats itself throughout music. The key of the music is G major, but we're going to start out on E minor. This works because E minor is the relative minor scale to G major. E minor is based on the 6th note of the G major scale. The chord book will tell you to place your middle finger on the A string at the 2nd fret and your ring finger on the D string at the 2nd fret and play the chord this way. I found that to be very clumsy and inefficient. I found it better to use your first finger on the A string at the 2nd fret and your middle finger on the D string at the 2nd fret. Just like this. Notice it's the same thing. We just changed the fingering to make it more efficient, more practical. We're going to start out the song by playing 2 quarter notes. We're going to pick that chord twice. We'll count it 1, 2, just like this. 1, 2. And on the upbeat following 2, you're going to pick the higher pitched open 3 or 4 strings, just like this. So on a 4 count lead in, this is what we have so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and. Now notice when I pick that upbeat, okay, the open strings, I moved the middle finger off of the D string, but the first finger stayed locked on the A string at the 2nd fret. This is one of the benefits of playing the E minor chord this way. We're going to go to G major now. Notice that this note is part of the G major chord. It would be very inefficient and wasteful to lift it off of the string when it's already there. If you're a beginner, this will feel clumsy at first, but as you start to become a more seasoned veteran, this will make you more efficient and a smoother player. Once we get to G major, we're going to play this half of the measure with the exact same feel we did the first half. We're going to pick down on 3, down on 4, then we're going to pick up on the open, higher pitched 3 or 4 strings open, just like we did. Let me give you a 4 count lead in and do this first measure just to make sure you understand what I'm saying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Now notice that when I'm counting, when I'm picking down, those picking patterns, okay, they're coinciding with the tapping of the foot. I pick down, and the downbeat is the foot is tapping down, and I pick up as the foot comes up to its peak. Okay, and when I'm picking them up strokes, that's when the fingers are coming off of the string. But after we got done playing that G major, notice that the first finger stayed locked in that position still, because we're going to go back to E minor. All you're going to do is place your middle finger back on the 2nd fret of the D string. I don't even have to pivot my wrist to do that. And you're going to play the first half of the 2nd measure exactly the same way. Here's a 4 count lead in. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and. Okay, notice that I'm going back to the G major. And once again, the first finger didn't move. Once we get to G major, we're going to do something different here. We're going to play 2 8th notes counted 3 and. Pick down up, just like this. 3 and. Then we're going to go to the D major chord from there to play 4 and. Pick down up. Now watch closely as I go to the D major chord. Notice the 3rd finger, the ring finger. It's going to stay locked on that string. All I'm moving is the other fingers. See how much more efficient that is? So here's what we're going to have. I'll do the last half of the measure. 3 and 4 and. 3 and 4 and. Just like that. 3 and 4 and. Let's do the whole process right up until that point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and... Actually, that's the whole riff. Now what we're going to do is to start the riff pattern over again, we're going to go back to the E minor chord. Now notice how much more efficient it is just to take them 2 fingers and place them here, as opposed to trying to do it this way like the book shows you. You're seeing the benefits of playing the E minor chord like this already. Let's play the riff pattern a few more times just to make sure you understand it and then move on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and... This clean or acoustic part will also be played during the verses, bridges, and guitar solo of the song. It starts out on E minor, which is actually the 6th chord of the G major scale tone chord pattern. E major is the relative minor key of G major, which is why it works. Relative minor scale is the minor scale that has the exact same scale notes as its respective major scale. In sheet music, G major or E minor would be indicated by a single sharp symbol on the F line of the very first measure of the sheet music transcript. The supporting guitar part is a distorted electric. What it's going to do is highlight certain points that are being played by the clean electric or the acoustic guitar. The bass is going to start the song unaccompanied and go through its riff pattern a couple times before the rest of the band enters. As soon as the rest of the band enters, the electric guitar is going to accent on the second half of the first measure by playing 3, 4 and, just like this. It'll be at rest the first half of the measure. Then the second measure, it's just going to accent on the 3 and 4 and. And once again, it's going to be at rest for the half of that measure. It'll accent like this. So once the rest of the band kicks in, it'll go through that twice. You'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and... Then the vocals enter. And at that point, the distorted electric is only accenting on the last half of the second measure. You'll be at rest like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and... Let's do that entire process one time just to make sure we're on the same page. It'll go through the vocal part 4 times. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and... Then it goes into the chorus of the song.